Hello everyone, welcome to HW News. My name is Aarti. The Election Laws Amendment Bill 2021 that seeks to link Aadhaar with the elector's photo identity card, also known as EPIC, was passed in Lok Sabha with the help of voice vote yesterday. The bill essentially amends a part of Representation of People Act 1950. The bill faced humongous opposition by opposition parties in Lok Sabha, and opposition MPs were upset with the way this bill was in fact passed. They complained that they were not given enough time to discuss this important bill that not only concerns people's voting rights but also concerns their privacy. Privacy activists have termed the move as dangerous and violating people's fundamental right to privacy. The centre, on the other hand, is claiming that the bill brings electoral reforms. So what are the implications of the bill on privacy as well as voting rights of people? Let us discuss this today. We are joined by Mr. Apar Gupta. He is Executive Director of Internet Freedom Foundation and one of the leading voices when it comes to privacy rights. Apar, thank you so much for joining us. My first question to you is, as I said, that I'll be asking questions from layman's point of view, because even today, larger section of the masses find it difficult to understand this issue related to Aadhaar. So almost everything is now connected to Aadhaar. Our bank account is connected to it. It is linked to mobile numbers. If you go to any government offices, they also ask you for your Aadhaar number. So a lot of people have a question that what is really a problem if Aadhaar is in fact linked to voter ID?
The primary problem of Aadhaar being connected to our voter ID emerges from two basic clusters. The first is what has been highlighted by opposition parties yesterday in Parliament, in the Lok Sabha, that it will cause mass exclusion. It will cause a lot of people to be disenfranchised. But it will also do something else. It will allow people who are on the basis of Aadhaar now seeking electoral registration, and has several years of evidence shown us that the Aadhaar database has been built on the basis of enrollments which are done very rapidly. So a lot of people who are not citizens are actually Aadhaar entitlees. And this is being recognized by the Aadhaar Act, because the basis of the Aadhaar is not citizenship, it is residency. So what happens when you link a database which is there for residents with the right to vote, or the EPIC database, which is essentially for electoral rolls, which is based on citizenship? You introduce errors, right? And the evidence of this is actually present in Telangana, where the State Election Commission tried to link the Aadhaar records of several residents of Telangana with the electoral rolls, which caused close to about 40 lakh deletions. And in fact, there are enough press stories which show that people went to the voting booth and they discovered that they could not vote, and they were just struck off the rolls. The second big cluster of problems are basically relating to voter targeting and profiling, where Aadhaar is a unique link. As most people know, you've connected it to your mobile phone, to your bank, the income tax department. But for a lot of people who rely on government subsidies, government services, rations, even LPG cooking cylinders, their data basically is linked on the basis of this common identifier. Now, quite often there have been instances of data leaks and also Aadhaar data being used for people to be targeted in elections. This move makes it worse. And evidence of this is concerning one such plea, where the Madras High Court actually noted and directed the UIDAI, which is the regulatory body after Aadhaar, to got hold of the database. He is now the party or this year by the Chief Justice of the Madras High Court. So essentially, to repeat, there are two clusters of problems. The first is exclusion and disfranchisement, and also erroneous voters or bogus entries which will be inserted, thereby threatening democracy. And secondly, the right of people to cast their ballot in a free and fair elections, which will be impacted by the right to privacy being undermined.
Okay. About the common argument from those who support the bill is that it will also enable the exercise of verification, and it will act as a filtering process to identify the fake voters. So, and one more objective that the bill states is to address multiple enrollment of the same person in different places. So what are your views on this particular argument?
the principal argument which has been made by the government in the Lok Sabha, that reduction in the number of fake voters which are there in any constituency, and this is a very welcome objective. However, does this mean actually help us achieve that? Because firstly, the Aadhaar database, and let us again remember, is not the valid proof of citizenship, only of residency, and voting is a distinct database made on the basis of a person being a citizen of India. So what happens when you take a database of residents and mix it with a database which is completely not having any underlying basis of it being on the of people exercising their vote on the basis of this? The Aadhaar database itself has been noticed to be erroneous. Okay. So what this erroneous database results in quite often are, for instance, entry mismatches in which my name will not be correctly noted there. My age or my address particulars will not be correctly noted there. Or my biometrics may have changed over a period of time. And these kind of errors have been linked to certain other existing databases, like the NREGA database or the PDS database, that don't have the exclusion. This is noted not only by the society activists, but even in the National Economic Survey, which has noted exclusions up to 8 to 12%. Now imagine if in any constituency 8 to 12% people are excluded from the right to exercise their ballots, to cast their votes, it changes the very result. A different person ends up winning the election.
From what you have told me, I've understood there is a confusion among what we understand of Aadhaar and what the purpose that Aadhaar serves. And there is a lot of confusion among the masses exactly about what is the purpose of Aadhaar. Because as you rightly pointed out, there is a difference between residency and citizenship. But common people, I think they don't know about this particular difference. Could you please elaborate on why the purpose of Aadhaar is residency and it is not a proof of citizenship?
While many civil society activists, including advocates who were there in the cases on the constitutional status of Aadhaar, have questioned its very purpose. They say it's purposeless. It's essentially a unique identifier which links to various databases and thereby increases state control, their insight, the kind of data they will gather over you and then collect, basically, which makes you feel uncomfortable and you can't exercise your political choice. That's what civil society activists say. However, the stated legislative intent of Aadhaar is to have the targeted delivery of subsidies and central government benefits and also state government benefits, thereby to quote unquote check leakages theoretically, right? And this is the legislative objective behind the Aadhaar Act as it was passed and unfortunately has passed constitutional muster. Now, database and a unique identifier that is linked to a person's biometrics for any kind of benefits does not seem to be the database which should be linked to a voter ID, given the threats which emerge to a larger democracy, as well as the very real danger of people being manipulated with regard to their voting choices or not being able to cast their votes just because their entries are not in Aadhaar.
We are saying, the privacy activists are also saying that the bill is very dangerous. But the law minister yesterday in parliament said that the process will entirely be voluntary and there won't be any compulsion.
I would like to dispute the assertions made by the law minister, Mr. Kiran Rijiju, as he introduced this bill in parliament yesterday. And it's also important to note that the bill was first introduced in the morning. A supplementary agenda was released at 2 p.m. for passage and deliberation. Thereby, opposition MPs did not get the chance not only not debate, but to move amendment motions. So it did not have the text of the law and did not have the opportunity actually to study it and respond with comments. The law minister also based his assertion on a standing committee report of the 105th grant of allocation with respect to the Department of Law and Justice. Now, a grant of allocation with respect to budgetary expenses, not a specific finding with respect to linking Aadhaar and a electoral database, and people can look up this report. It is not a full deliberation on the wide impact it can have on this issue. It's not even noting these concerns of disenfranchisement or voter targeting or voter manipulation or denial of a voter's right to cast their ballot itself, or people who may not be citizens but residents being included in electorals. None of these issues are examined in that report. So the assertions which are being made by the law minister do not stand any scrutiny. Also, there was another statement made towards the rejoinder by the law minister, whereby he stated that the present law complies with the Puttaswamy standard, the right to privacy standard, and the Aadhaar judgment, which is the Puttaswamy 2 judgment.
Yes.
Reliance on clause 23, section 23, clause 6, which says that Aadhaar under this process will be voluntary in the sense, and I quote, no application for inclusion of name in the electoral roll shall be denied and the electoral roll shall be deleted due to such sufficient cause as may be prescribed. What is this sufficient cause? How will it be prescribed is further stated in section 28 through the insertion of clause HHB, which says that sufficient cause and furnishing of alternate documents and the procedure for it will be defined by the central government at a later point in time through a notification, through rules which may be made by. Now, what we have seen our practical experience is that the government always is intending for us to link our Aadhaar with any kind of services, thereby making it the default, and any kind of alternate ID the exception from that. So thereby it's not completely voluntary, because the kind of barriers which are put on a person to, let's say, link their passport or link their driver's license instead of their Aadhaar will be very cumbersome. For instance, the government may very simply say that you can link your Aadhaar with your electoral roll and record online, whereby if you do not want to do this and you are showing sufficient cause, you have to physically go to the electoral registration officer and then submit a copy, which may be notarized or maybe signed by a public officer or gazetted officer if you are relying on, let's say, your driver's license or your passport, thereby making the alternative completely unviable, burdensome, and thereby not being truly and freely voluntary.
So you are saying that in future it can happen that the alternatives will be more difficult, so that people will eventually have no option but to go for the option which is more convenient, which is Aadhaar, to link with the voter ID.
Yes, it is correct. But it's not mere convenience. It is the creation of an alternate path which has such a high bar, which is so difficult, which is so cumbersome. You don't even consider that as an alternative itself. So it's not truly voluntary. In effect, it becomes mandatory.
Yesterday, when the debate was going on in the Lok Sabha, a lot of MPs said that the bill is outside the legislative competence of the parliament. Can parliament, in fact, legislate on the matters that seem to affect the fundamental rights of people?
Parliament can certainly legislate on topics with impact these fundamental rights of people. However, they need to be within the boundaries of reasonable restrictions or within the basic structure of the constitution. Here, Barrister Owaisi, who is also a member of parliament, raised objections stating that it changes the basic structure of the constitution, because electoral democracy, which allows people to freely exercise their right to vote by itself, is part of it. Secondly, there were also objections by members of parliament like Supriya Sule, who said that this kind of reform which is bringing in will cause damage. There was statements by Manish Tiwari as well as by Dr. Shashi Tharoor, Mr. N.K. Premchandran, virtually all across, cutting across opposition, which stated that the parliament should respect the Supreme Court's judgment on the fundamental right to privacy as well as on the Aadhaar Act, which stated it's for limited of benefits, entitlements, subsidies which are provided to people, not for verification of the electoral rolls.
Yesterday, the bill cleared Lok Sabha. It was rummaged through Lok Sabha. In fact, opposition was not even given a chance to reply to it. In case the bill is cleared through Rajya Sabha and it also receives assent of the president, how will it impact the people? What will be the next step? And how do you see Election Commission's role in this?
Firstly, in terms of potential impacts, a lot of people are commenting it is with an eye towards the upcoming assembly elections in the 5 states. And I would say, no, that's not correct. Because for operation of this law beyond the passage, the rules will be notified and the entire technical operation which will take place will require some time. So the possible impacts which we see will be much more certain towards the 2024 general elections. The second issue which here is that, yes, there is every possibility of a legal challenge against this. Aadhaar has a very narrow scope of what it can be used for, as has been judicially defined. And in my opinion, as a lawyer who worked on this case, the Electoral Laws Amendment Bill of 2021, by changing the Representation of People Act 1950 very substantially and utilizing Aadhaar as the very basis of people registering in the electoral rolls, change in 2014 by saying it's a voter purification exercise. This was stayed by the Supreme Court in response to RTI filed by us, has stated that it satisfies standards such as proportionality without even reasoning them. For instance, has the Election Commission clearly stated how many fake voters are there in the electoral rolls as per an estimate? Has it commissioned a study? Is there any impact assessment? Has it actually considered also the dangers which result in terms of documented instances in Telangana? None of this is available. So its decision and its very move towards linking Aadhaar with electoral rolls seems to be completely irrational and not on the basis of any kind of evident information, study, analysis, or evidence.
My last question to you is, because whenever we talk about Aadhaar, the question ultimately also comes down to the question of surveillance. So do you think the surveillance fears over this particular issue of Aadhaar and voter ID linkage are valid?
The surveillance fears are often called fears because India does not have any system of regulation, oversight, or disclosure with respect to surveillance. For instance, I am a litigant myself in the Delhi High Court asking for aggregate data, the total number of surveillance requests issued by the central government. The central government first has initially stated it cannot provide such statistical information, which means the number of surveillance requests in a year. Because on grounds of national security, and when the CIC has redirected it to look at it, this information and provide it again, it has now stated it does not even keep these records and has destroyed it. Now imagine a government department not even keeping any count of the total number of surveillance requests. Now, when we do not have any transparency, we do not have any oversight in terms of any prior judicial warrants or parliamentary oversight, well, surveillance will always be called a surveillance fear. And the second thing, which is important for people to consider, that even the data protection bill, which has been in the news somehow, right? And
Yes.
says that the government is about to bring a bill which will be a law to protect our individual privacy, how personal information about us is used by corporates and by government departments. Well, this bill exempts government and provides it exemptions to essentially notify any department from the application of this law. So the government can, by a notification, without satisfying any kind of clear legal standard under the right to privacy judgment, say that this department in perpetuity, so from today till whenever, does not need to comply with the data protection law when it comes later. So clearly, we do not have any law, we do not have any accountability process, and these fears actually are well justified because they are instances. So here the specific tangible instance I would refer is the case in the Madras High Court, where the Chief Justice himself noted, and I quote, "It is apparent that the sixth respondent, quote unquote BJP political party, may have resorted to a form of campaigning, in brackets sending bulk SMSs with links to join the party's booth level WhatsApp groups, end of brackets. Not possible under the model code of conduct, full stop." He goes on to state, the court goes on to state, again quotes, "Unfortunately, rather than the seventh respondent, UIDAI, authority which looks after Aadhaar, trying to ascertain how the personal details of voters may have been leaked from its system, such authority accuses the petitioner of not having brought the matter to the notice of the relevant authority." Full stop. The Election Commission, however, says that it has brought the matter to the notice of the seventh respondent. Full stop. The seventh respondent, which is the UIDA, should immediately ascertain how such material could have been accessed by a particular political party. Full stop. So it is important for us to consider, even if the government is not doing this kind of surveillance, what is surveillance actually? It can even be done by a political party, which is getting our Aadhaar data and then will canvass for our votes and may even get to know how those votes have been polled.
I think it is very important for all people, for everyone to see this video, because it also explains how Aadhaar and what are the dangers of Aadhaar. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Apar, for joining us. Thank you so much for this conversation.